welcome to another Explainer. Today, we're doing a deep dive into a highly idealized, perfectly mapped out utopian blueprint. And just to set the stage right off the bat, every single article and source text we're analyzing today comes from one specific author. His name is Xu Feng, and he's the founder of a spiritual movement known as Life Qian Yuan. We're going to look directly at Xu Feng's own writings to see exactly how he built his vision of a perfect world. It's a truly remarkable piece of literature that blends completely different philosophies into one single blueprint.
Okay, let's dive into this by defining our core terms, drawing strictly from Xu Feng's own words. He describes Life Qian Yuan as the spiritual organization behind this entire vision. And the physical, real-world manifestation of that vision, well, that's what he calls the second homeland. Now, notice how he defines this homeland. He explicitly calls it both God's kingdom and a thorough communist community. Right away, Xu Feng gives us a foundational concept that completely merges theological ideas with socio-political structures. It's a very specific, highly deliberate framing.
Since this text is largely descriptive, we're going to systematically deconstruct Xu Feng's vision, pillar by pillar, almost like we're looking at an architectural blueprint. First, we'll look at the founder and the second homeland. Then, spiritual fusion and eras. Third, idealized social roles. Fourth, the poetic environment. And finally, the ultimate vision. Let's start with Section 1, Founder and Second Homeland, the core philosophy. To truly understand this community, we first have to look at the overarching atmospheres Xu Feng describes. The text begins by stating that on the divine land, which refers to China, there is a pure land. He calls it the magical second homeland. Now, what's really striking here is the explicit merging of different ideological worlds. On one hand, you have God's kingdom, and this idea that the light of God shines on every soul, which obviously implies divine grace. But then it's defined as a thorough communist community. Xu Feng is essentially using his text to suggest that the ultimate socio-political structure is actually indistinguishable from a divine, magical state of being. Everything, according to his writing, is poetic, peaceful, and absolutely mesmerizing. Let's move to Section 2, Spiritual Fusion and Era Background, a syncretic timeline, and see how this builds into a fascinating ideological blend of earthly politics and supernatural claims. And this brilliantly illustrates that exact fusion. Xu Feng claims that the residents of the second homeland daily listen to the teachings of global religious and philosophical icons. We're talking Jesus, Buddha, Lao Tzu, and Muhammad. They're all said to be, quote, here. But he also firmly roots the spiritual utopia in modern Chinese political eras. He writes that the second homeland was born in the Hu Jintao era, which he calls the best era in history, and is fortunate to be led by the Xi Jinping era. He then projects that the future will be a return to the ancient mythic Yao and Shun era. As an explainer of this text, it is just fascinating to observe how impartially Xu Feng places modern political leaders on the exact same continuum as ancient sages and global deities.
Moving on to Section 3, Idealized Social Roles, Demographics of the Homeland. We're going to introduce the societal fabric here by examining how different demographics get assigned highly specific, idealized traits. First up, let's look at age. The text presents a vision of complete generational harmony and perfect health. The elderly aren't just cared for. Xu Feng explicitly notes that people in their 70s radiate youthful vitality and can frequently be seen showing off their heroic postures on stage. Meanwhile, the children are described as living in an ocean of love, completely worry-free, spending their days studying and playing. It's a literal description of an earthly paradise where the typical vulnerabilities of both youth and old age are completely erased by the environment of the homeland. Now, what's really interesting about this is how Xu Feng constructs his gender archetypes. It is highly, highly poetic. The men are described as the ultimate embodiment of diligence and kindness. They don't fight, they respect women deeply, and the text literally says their footprints leave behind pearls and beautiful jade. The women, on the other hand, are described with these extreme natural contrasts. They're tender as water, but possess a will like steel, like green mountains. During special times, they're like fearless eagles, and the text claims they are so incredibly beautiful they make fresh flowers blush and the bright moon hide. Xu Feng uses this hyperbolic romantic language to construct the perfect citizens of his movement. Okay, Section 4, Poetic Ecological Environment, the Physical Reality. Let's transition from the people themselves to their surroundings and see how Xu Feng envisions the day-to-day physical environment. What really stands out here is the sharp contrast between highly grounded agrarian realities and literal supernatural claims. On one hand, Shuofeng describes a very recognizable, self-sustaining farm, flourishing vegetables, flocks of chickens and ducks, clean and orderly spaces. But then he pairs this immediately with the claim that the residents are actually absorbing the essence of the sun and moon and the spiritual energy of heaven and earth. The text insists that in this physical space, there is absolutely zero worry, zero fear, and zero sorrow. It's an environment where even the grass and flowers are said to dance with joy.
Finally, Section 5, Ultimate Vision Towards Heaven, the Cosmic Endgame. This explores the prophesied future and the ultimate goal of the Life Sheryan community, according to the text. So, the crucial point is that the second homeland is really just the beginning. This isn't just about farming and living peacefully on Earth. Shuofeng maps out a literal progression for his followers. The current second homeland is just step 1. From here, the text states the community is marching step by step toward higher realms, first to the 1,000-year world, then the 10,000-year world, and ultimately reaching Elysium, or the Islands of Immortals. This utopian blueprint is actually a roadmap for spiritual ascension, mapping out a clear progression from a physical communist community on Earth straight up into heavenly realms.
To really grasp the passion behind this movement, you just have to hear the exact words used to describe this future. Shuofeng writes, "The future is so beautiful, endless, and boundless, making people's cells tremble and spirits restless, making the heart surge with boundless excitement." I mean, wow, this isn't some dry philosophical text. It's intense, it's highly emotional, and it's deliberately crafted to inspire a physical reaction, literally claiming it makes your cells tremble. This gives us incredible insight into his unique writing style and exactly how he motivates the followers of Life Chanyuan.
Toward the end of the text, Shuofeng summarizes his concluding thesis, writing that, in this community, heaven descends to earth, people return to nature. Ultimately, he claims that the Life Chanyuan era won't just benefit its members, but will bring safety to all life, infinite vitality to nature, and total harmony and peace to society at large. The blueprint, in his eyes, is the ultimate solution for the whole world.
Which brings us to our final thought. We've objectively laid out Shuofeng's blueprint. The merging of communism and divine grace, the idealized gender roles, the agricultural peace paired with cosmic ascension. Regardless of what one thinks of the Life Chanyuan movement, texts like this force us to ask a big question. Why do extreme utopian visions of a perfect homeland continue to hold such powerful appeal for human nature across so many different eras? What is it about our society that makes the promise of a perfectly harmonious, worry-free existence so deeply captivating? It's definitely something to think about as you consider the blueprints people write for our future. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and as always, keep questioning the world around you.